How to gain power over any woman. Most men think they need to impress a woman to gain her attention, but the moment you try, you've already lost. Power isn't in chasing, it's in stillness. A woman doesn't fall for your words. She falls for your energy, your silence, your control, your calm presence. When you no longer need her validation, that's when she feels your pull the most. True power is invisible. It comes from mastering yourself. And if you stay until the end, I'll show you the one shift that makes any woman feel your presence without you saying a word. Silent authority. Power over others begins with power over self. Without self-governance, every move you make outward is reactive, not strategic. You can dress the part. You can speak with force. You can memorize scripts and imitate strength. But if you are not grounded in your own thoughts, if your emotions still steer your decisions, if your cravings pull you out of alignment, then you are not leading, you are leaking. You can't lead what you haven't mastered. And mastery doesn't start with managing others. It begins at the root, your mind, your breath, your nervous system. Influence is not found in volume. Influence is vibration. It's what people feel before you speak. It's the unspoken weight you carry in your presence. And that presence, it is not given, it is earned alone. This is where most men fail, not because they lack charm or appearance, but because they've never trained their attention. Their energy is fractured. They can't sit in silence for more than 5 minutes without grabbing a device. They can't hold eye contact without looking for approval. They can't stay still because stillness reveals what they've been avoiding. So they distract. They speak too much. They over-explain. They move too fast, too early, and when they try to lead, they project pressure instead of calm, noise instead of command. They believe the lie that leadership is performance. But real influence doesn't chase attention, it magnetizes it, and that kind of gravity isn't found in books or borrowed from podcasts. It's built in solitude, in stillness, in discomfort. Every woman can feel it, not through logic, but through instinct. She can feel the man who has no anchor. He leans forward too soon. He fills silence with strategy. He tries to earn something she hasn't offered, and in doing so, loses her respect. Because approval-seeking energy is repulsive. Not because it's aggressive, but because it's hollow. She doesn't want to be impressed. She wants to feel stability, and she cannot feel that from a man who is still looking to her for permission. But when she meets a man who is centered, her entire body responds differently. He walks slowly. Not from hesitation, but from clarity. He speaks little, not from insecurity, but from presence. His energy is so full that it doesn't beg, it doesn't chase, it doesn't wobble. And she listens not because she was told to, but because something in her recognizes truth, not his truth, the truth of masculine stillness. The modern world teaches men to amplify their image, to build louder voices, to scale their presence through visibility. But the ancient world understood something else. Power is not scale. Power is depth. True masculine power doesn't declare itself. It doesn't fight to be felt. It simply is. And in its stillness, it moves more than force ever could. A trained man does not need to raise his voice. His quiet energy speaks through every gesture. His restraint holds more than his words ever could. The deeper he is in command of himself, the less he needs to manage others. Because his presence regulates the room. The man who has cultivated himself doesn't flinch when tested. He doesn't try to fix emotional storms. He doesn't apologize for his standards, and he doesn't lower them for comfort. And when pressure builds, he becomes even more still because he's trained for it. He's met discomfort daily, not through resistance, but through breath, through clarity, through repetition. While other men were chasing comfort, he was building gravity. And now he doesn't have to ask for respect. It arrives when he does. You want to be followed? Govern yourself. You want to be trusted? Say less, do more. You want her to feel you? Train in silence until your presence arrives first. Not with fear, not with dominance, but with calm, unwavering energy. Because when you walk into a room with nothing to prove and everything aligned, you don't need to chase power. You already are it. Gaining power over a woman does not begin with learning how to control her thoughts, twist her emotions, or predict her reactions. That is not strength, it's weakness in disguise. It's the strategy of a man who has no foundation of his own, trying to rearrange others to make up for what he hasn't built within himself. Real power does not begin in manipulation. It begins in detachment, not apathy detachment, the kind that says, I no longer need your attention to feel like myself. That is the first true step towards sovereignty. The more you need her energy, the more you lose your own. The more you chase her reaction, the more invisible you become in her eyes. Not because she's cruel, but because she can sense that your center is not rooted in you. And what is not rooted cannot be trusted. The paradox is this: when you can walk away without flinching, she feels the gravity that makes her want to stay. Not because you manipulated her, but because you no longer orbit her. This is not about arrogance. It's not about playing hard to get. It's not about pretending to care less. It's about becoming complete enough that you no longer require anything from her to feel grounded. That's the essence of masculine attraction: stability. Not performance, not posturing, just presence, quiet, relaxed, self-contained presence. The kind of energy that doesn't demand, doesn't wobble, doesn't overextend itself trying to impress. The kind that radiates power not through noise, but through stillness. And this kind of energy cannot be faked. It cannot be spoken into existence. It is not a mask you put on, it is a reflection of how you live. A woman doesn't respond to your lines. She responds to your nervous system, to your breath, to the weight of your silence. If you are holding tension, she feels it. If you are chasing internally, she feels that too. But if you are still, if you are at ease, not because you are hiding, but because you are full, she opens. The man who is whole does not rush. He does not chase. He does not beg for access. He chooses. He observes. He walks with a kind of relaxed strength that cannot be performed, and she can feel the difference, because energy never lies. Words can be rehearsed. Gestures can be copied. But the body, the breath is always speaking. And a man who does not need her, yet still chooses her, is the rarest signal she will ever feel. That signal says, I am complete with or without you. And in that moment, she sees him not as a performer, but as a presence. But this internal power is not something you hope for. It is not something you learn in theory. It is forged in practice, in discipline, in daily silence. 1 hour a day with no performance, no devices, no audience becomes the ground from which this energy is built. You sit alone. You breathe. You listen. You feel your own mind, the racing, the restlessness, the compulsion to reach outward, and you do not move. You train your attention like a blade. You clean your environment, not as routine, but as respect. You speak less, not to withhold, but to become more intentional. You stop seeking noise and start embracing stillness. And in this hour, every single day, you begin to master what no one else sees: yourself. This is how the Shaolin train, not to impress, not to perform, but to align, to become so internally clear that external chaos no longer controls them. So when they walk into a room, they do not need to raise their voice. They do not need to make demands. Their energy announces their presence. Their discipline speaks louder than their mouth ever could. And this is why their silence carries weight, because it is backed by practice. You want to shift how women see you. Stop trying to be seen. Stop trying to be liked. Stop chasing the reaction. Start building your center. Choose 1 hour a day, not to become someone else, but to become who you would trust if you were her. A man who has nothing to prove. A man who moves with direction, not desperation. A man whose stillness is louder than any game. Because a trained man radiates. An untrained man reaches, and she always knows the difference. Now understand this: a woman does not fall for your image. That's the illusion sold to men who don't understand the deeper game. Image may spark interest, but it does not sustain connection. Because what draws a woman in, what makes her body relax, her eyes linger, her trust emerges: presence. Not words, not style, not effort. Presence. And presence cannot be faked. You cannot borrow it from a book. You cannot rehearse it from a course. You cannot imitate it. Because presence is not a surface trait, it is an energy. It comes from your nervous system. It comes from your stillness. It comes from how much of yourself you've faced. And when you've faced enough, when you've peeled back enough of your need for validation, when you've stood in discomfort long enough to no longer fear it, that's when presence begins to build. You can't skip the layers. You can't rush the weight. Presence is built the way strength is built, through daily sacrifice. You wake up earlier, not for hustle culture, but for quiet, for structure. You train harder, not for attention, but because your body is a reflection of your standards. You eat clean because your fuel is your discipline. You hold your word not to impress her, but because you are becoming a man you trust. And all of this, though it looks invisible, becomes visible in how you carry yourself. She will feel it in your silence. Not the awkward silence of a man who doesn't know what to say, but the grounded silence of a man who knows he doesn't need to say anything. She will feel it in your walk, unhurried, undistracted. She will feel it in the way you listen, not waiting to speak, but actually absorbing. She will feel it in the way you look at her without chasing, without grasping, without need. That look says, I'm here because I choose to be, not because I have to be. You must become the mountain, still, immovable, not cold, not hard, but rooted. You let her emotions pass through like wind and rain. Because the feminine is not meant to be controlled, it is meant to be held. And you cannot hold anything if your own frame is shaking. Let her moods rise and fall. Let her expression flow. That is her nature. The only question is, will you remain? Not by holding her down, but by holding your own ground. If you are grounded deeply, patiently, she will trust you. She may challenge you, but she will trust you. If you are not, she will test you endlessly. Not to punish you, but to expose what is real. And this is what most men refuse to hear. This is the truth nobody tells them. Women test weak men, they follow strong ones. Not dominant ones, not loud ones, strong ones. Men who are internally steady, men who are not ruled by fear. Men who lead by being, not just by doing. But understand, this strength is not cruelty. It is not cold distance. It is not unfeeling detachment. Strength is calm clarity. It is not reaction. It is not suppression. It is stillness, deep, earned stillness. It is the power to feel everything and yet remain centered. It is the discipline to breathe through discomfort, not escape it. It is the ability to be fully present in the storm, not to resist the wind, but to remain unmoved by it. This is the type of man a woman trusts. This is the type of man her body relaxes around. Because he is not a threat and he is not a burden. He is steady, and steadiness is security. Security without words, security without explanation. She feels it in how you hold space, how you enter a room, how you respond when she rises, when she retreats, when she cries, when she tests. But that steadiness, that strength must be trained. It does not come from intention alone. It comes from structure, from practice, from living your life like it matters. You wake up and you face yourself daily. You sit in silence before the noise. You stretch your body before the world stretches your patience. You choose your words carefully. You protect your energy ruthlessly. You respect your time. You stay loyal to the small things that build trust with yourself. Not for her, not for attention, but for alignment. And in that alignment, you stop looking for validation because you've already given it to yourself. She will feel this. She may not be able to explain it, but she will know. And when she knows, she won't just listen to what you say, she will feel who you are. And that feeling, not your image, not your lines, not your performance, is what makes her stay. Many men today are lost not because they lack potential, but because they lack structure. The world has convinced them that freedom is the absence of form, that masculinity is found in pleasure, noise, and spontaneity. And so they live untrained. Their emotions run wild, triggered by everything and anchored by nothing. Their thoughts never rest, constantly pulled from one stimulation to the next. Their energy is scattered, fractured across screens, women, vices, half-finished goals. And in this chaos, they expect to be respected. They wonder why women do not follow, why their words carry no weight, why their presence is forgettable. But how can a man be respected if he does not respect his own time, his own thoughts, his own presence? A man without discipline is not a man, he is a boy trapped in a grown body. And nothing repels the feminine more than a man who has not yet earned his own structure. If you want power over a woman, begin by mastering the parts of yourself she will instinctively respond to. Hold eye contact not with intensity, but with calm. Look into her without seeking anything from her. Speak with intention, not to impress, not to dominate, but to express what is necessary. No more, no less. Listen not with a mind preparing a response, but with a still presence that absorbs. Move not with hesitation, not with overthinking, but with directness born from clarity. These are not techniques, they are not tricks, they are symptoms. Symptoms of a man who knows himself. A man who has spent enough time alone to no longer need validation in a room. A man who has been humbled enough by life to no longer prove his worth. When you stop reacting to everything, you stop being controlled by everything. And in that stillness, you begin to lead. Now I'll tell you what no one teaches you, not in school, not in culture, not in the loud corners of the internet. The greatest power you can ever have over a woman is not having her body. That's temporary. That's common. That's surface level. The real power, the rarest, deepest, most unforgettable power is awakening her soul. And this is not something you can fake. You cannot inspire depth in her if you have not yet entered it yourself. You cannot wake up her feminine essence if you are still asleep in your masculine core. To touch her soul, you must first face your shadows. You must have sat with your own rage without becoming it. You must have witnessed your lust without being ruled by it. You must have met your fear and chosen courage anyway. These are the silent battles that forge presence, and only presence awakens a woman's soul. A man who walks with purpose does not need to explain it. You feel it in his posture. You hear it in his pauses. You see it in the spaces between his words. He moves with something invisible guiding him, something weightless but undeniable. And because of that, he does not chase approval. He does not bend to convenience. He does not follow pleasure. He uses it as a test. When a man seeks mastery over himself, the world opens. Not easily, not quickly, but deeply. He becomes a lighthouse in a culture of flickering candles. And women, conscious, aware, feminine women, feel that. They sense it before they hear a word. They are not drawn to it out of curiosity. They are drawn to it out of reverence. And this is the shift. You no longer chase. You no longer ask. You no longer perform. You simply become. You become a man who does not need to be remembered because his presence cannot be forgotten. You become the kind of man who doesn't try to impress her because she already feels impressed just standing next to your energy. You speak and she listens, not because you raised your voice, not because you demanded her respect, but because your vibration carried more weight than noise ever could. That kind of impact is not made in the bedroom. It is made in the mirror, in silence, in solitude, in training, 1 hour at a time, 1 breath at a time, 1 broken pattern at a time. This is the way of the masculine, not show, not volume, but structure, discipline, clarity. And when that clarity is real, it's felt, not explained. The world may never notice, but the right woman will. And not only will she notice, she'll never forget. But here is what separates the few from the many. Most men will hear this and do nothing. They will keep chasing, keep pleasing, keep falling into emotional chaos. They will think power means manipulation or arrogance or domination. That is not power, that is noise. True power is spiritual. It is the still flame that never flickers even in the storm. And when a woman finds that flame in a man, she knows, this is a man I can trust. This is a man I can follow. Not because he forces me, but because he leads me. Now let me tell you the final truth. This is the most important lesson of all. You don't gain power over women, you gain power with them. When you master yourself, you create a space where the feminine can relax. When you are rooted, she becomes radiant. When you are silent, she becomes expressive. The dance between masculine and feminine only flows when the masculine holds his ground. So you want power. Then become the stillness she can trust. Become the frame she can grow within. That hour you spend every day not scrolling,